we're going to go in order about Kylo Ren because there's so much stuff. So apparently the movie starts with On Our Good Guys, and we'll get into that later. And it's kind of like people are asking where Kylo Ren is between the good guys and the First Order. Hux, which we'll get into. You're going to love. Have you heard about the Hux stuff?
Chancellor Hux?
Have you heard about the other stuff, though? The stuff he was collecting?
No.
Oh, man. So we're going to get into Chancellor Hux. So anyways, everyone's kind of wondering where Kylo Ren is. And apparently he's like looking for a power and everything like this. And there's two things that come into it. I can't remember the other one, but I do remember that. Remember when we did the Clone Wars retro for Mortis, and you're like, oh man, people were talking about with Episode 9. Apparently in the script, again, if it's true, but we're just going to talk about if it's true. In the script, they did go to Mortis. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring that up in a second, but they did go to Mortis. So he's kind of on this hunt to find this power, this greater power to become stronger. And he finds a holocron, apparently, that was on Mustafar. He goes to Mustafar. After, I'll break it up and I'll let Taylor give his opinion. He goes to Mustafar. He finds a holocron that has a message from Emperor Palpatine in it to Darth Vader. And he says that if Luke Skywalker is turned, but he strikes me down, you need to take him to, I need to find his name. His Sith Master name, of course, it's Toro.
It was a teacher, right?
Yeah, a Sith teacher. Well, yeah, because that's what people because Robert Meyer Burnett, go check out his channel. There's 3 hours worth because he did a part 1 and he did a part 2. At first, when he did his first video, it was like, oh, my master, or something like that. So people were like, oh, is this Plagueis? And apparently it's just a teacher. So the way he compared it was like a Yoda-like figure where everyone kind of thinks of Yoda as like their master in a way. So this guy's apparently name was Toro Vellum.
Toro Dalan.
He was a 7,000-year-old Sith teacher or something like that. And apparently the way he's been described is very like Shelob, like alien-esque. Like he was looking very sci-fi, like scary-ish. But the thing was, so Emperor was telling Vader, you got to take him to...
Shelob.
Take him to Toro. We'll call him TV, but no, don't do that either because there's so much stuff. So you're going to take him there, and then what happens is the holocron reads Kylo Ren, and it reads that it's not Vader, so it burns him. It like shoots out this red lightning, and it burns him. So you've heard of all this so far. So what do you think? We'll start about this. What do you think about this? You got Mustafar back, which did happen in Episode 9. They didn't mention it, which was annoying. But you got Mustafar, you got this holocron, and then we'll talk about Toro in a second. But the Emperor, so he was in it, but he had like a cameo. That was the other thing was Mortis, but remember we did hear, I'm not sure if you did, but I swear we talked about that there was rumors going around that Kylo Ren found a message or recording from Palpatine, because I think we did a canteen on that. So that's why for me some of this script leak might be real, because we had heard rumors about the Mortis stuff and then about him finding an Emperor like holocron, and that would make sense why this was going on. So what do you think about just this first chunk of
I think there's probably a lot of credibility to it, because obviously JJ might have taken a little bit of inspiration from it.
Oh, definitely. There's other things in the script which we'll get to, because Colin Trevorrow technically still has a story by credit. There's a scene in the script where Leia calls to Ben the exact same way. So there's definitely some things he kind of kept or changed up. So
yeah, and I really like what I'm seeing. I love the idea of Palpatine leaving a holocron behind, and just to see that on the screen of that whole what if moment of you seeing a holocron of Palpatine talking to Vader saying, if Luke kills me, then you need to do this with him. I think that would just leave everyone in like shock, like, wow, Palpatine and his fucking contingencies. That's what I'm saying.
So that's what I was going to ask you, because you've introduced me to this Palpatine and contingencies thing. To me, though, you've always said that, I think it was some canon or something like that, #canon.
Oh, yeah.
It explained that even if he lost, even if he died by like natural causes, he wouldn't want anyone running it, like including Vader, so he had contingencies to take it down. So that's one thing. Doesn't this kind of combat that as far as, oh, if I die, go train Luke Skywalker? To me, Palpatine, from what I know, wouldn't be like, oh, if I'm dead, you can carry on the legacy. It would have been like me or bust, right? So that kind of doesn't.
He wouldn't want Vader taking over the Empire, but he would probably want.
But he's dead at this part, because in the script it says the message is Palpatine saying, if Skywalker kills me. So it's
Skywalker kills me. Yeah, he probably, he would die, and then he wouldn't want Vader to take over the Empire, because he did have contingencies set up where Vader, it would split the Empire in half, and Vader wouldn't be able to probably control all of it. So in
was
this
it a
sense,
power thing, or was it just Vader he had a problem with?
No, in this sense, it was the fact that if the Empire could not properly protect its emperor, then it wasn't worthy enough to continue existing. That's why he set it up so that it would
isn't this
destroy
the same way,
itself.
It's
similar.
On him because he brought Luke Skywalker in, and it was a risk.
It's definitely all on him. He fucked up.
Yeah.
So
apparently he goes to I didn't write the planet's name down, but it's kind of a Sith-like planet. It sounds pretty much from Robert Meyer Burnett and other people there had talked about. It sounds similar to like an Exegol where there's like statues and creepy Sith stuff going on. So kind of something similar. He finds Toro Vellum, Vellum, and Toro Vellum is a 7,000-year-old. And that's why I say go to these videos, because they actually have like the actual dialogue. I will say as a negative for this movie, especially when we get to the end, the Kylo Ren and stuff and Rey. A thing as far as Colin Trevorrow, I'm a fan of the first Jurassic World, not a fan of the second one. The dialogue is pretty poor in this. So even the exchanges that they have is just like, Toro's like, what are you, like, do you not value something? And Kylo's Ren, like, do you not value your life? And it just,
do you not value your life?
It's something like that. And it's something like, oh, all right. Like, and definitely because Adam Driver is Kylo Ren, it might be better, but on the surface, it's kind of like, not the greatest. So that's why I would say so far what I've seen from the script, the dialogue is not the greatest. But so Toro Vellum is going to teach him this power to suck the life force out of people. So what do you think about that? And this also leads to he's training him, and apparently they like work on this and experiment this on animals and stuff like that, or space animals. And then eventually Kylo Ren takes Toro's force essence and kills him and becomes more powerful. And then here's another big thing for you. Before he kills him, Kylo Ren has this... I don't know. I'll reveal this next. Kylo Ren and Toro set up this like almost Dagobah cave thing, and he goes in the cave and he fights Darth Vader. And apparently there is a fight scene with Vision Darth Vader, and Kylo Ren lost that, and that made him realize the reason Vader lost is because he still had love in him. So what happens is he's decided to cut himself off from love, and he takes Vader's helmet on Coruscant, which we haven't talked about, but on Coruscant, and he throws off the balcony and it crumbles. So yeah, you heard that. So what do you think about the potential Vader fight scene? What do you think about the force sucking, which we kind of saw not... Well, we did see that with Palpatine, right?
He totally did.
Yeah, and then we saw like the Force giving and everything like that. So, what do you think about that, like Toro segment? And apparently, it was like lots of like, I've been around for this, and I'm blah blah blah. You know, lots of like exposition of like Sith canon stuff you probably would have loved.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't know about the Dagobah kind of cave scene going on, which sounds Vader, awesome. Yeah. I'm just thinking like there'd be some awesome screenshots of Kylo Ren and Vader fighting. Oh 100%. My god.
Yeah. This is one thing I didn't mention, though, that I'm not sure how you feel about this. Apparently, when he got scarred, he looked like Emperor. So he was like really like Emperor in Revenge of the Sith. So he was really bruised and like really damaged. He had like really purple, veiny scars. And apparently, they like melted Beskar armor on his face.
I read that. Yeah, Mandalorian armor or something like kind of fused to his body and stuff.
I don't like that. I'd have to see it, but I just think that, especially because we talk about the Rise of Skywalker, we kind of wish that he had the helmet off more. So I don't know what they mean. Would it be patches of it? Because in the script, it made it sound like it's his whole face. So is it just like, is it just Kylo? Is it just Adam Driver's eyes?
I have an example I can show you.
Okay, so I was not a fan of that. And while he looks it up, the Toro stuff, that sounded all great because I was fine with Palpatine coming back, but this worked a bit for me better. When we talked about Ben being redeemed, I got around to it, and I still liked the Ben Solo stuff. The thing is, the only reason Rise of Skywalker made me like it a bit more is because the Ben Solo stuff was done really well, and I got the Reylo stuff. And the thing is, I'm a big Reylo fan, and I love the kiss, so it made some of it all worth it. But at the end of the day, I would still rather taken him just being the straight villain, because I felt like Force Awakens and Last Jedi put him on that path. And again, it's tough because would I take that Ben Solo stuff away? I don't know, because that last part of the movie's great. So it's tough. I wish there was maybe like a version of these two scripts put together, but the Beskar armor on him, I don't know.
This is what I kind from
canon, right? Or something
This
like
isn't
that?
canon. This is from the Old Republic, the online game.
Oh, okay, because apparently there's something in the EU where someone has like some armor melted on him. That could be all right, but I don't know. I think it just constricts him, and that just feels like a toy move. Like we got to get a new Kylo Ren toy.
Oh, yeah.
Not a fan of that. But so what do you think about, back to your opinion of, you're talking about Vader, what do you think about this Toro stuff, the life force essence, everything like that?
The Toro stuff sounds absolutely awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I would love to have seen 7,000-year-old Sith teacher and just how his influence and such. And
that was the line. Kylo says, "Does the name Plagueis mean anything to you?"
Oh,
and then Toro says, "That name means nothing to me." And then Kylo Ren says, "But does your life mean anything?" And that was like the line. But yeah, so that's where I guess it was to insinuate that Plagueis was not like he was not Plagueis or whatnot. So
I don't know. This sounds like so much more of like
it's very prequely.
Prequely, a fan service. Like just to have the mention of like Plagueis in this would be awesome. And again, just like earlier, going to Vader's temple and finding this, and then getting Kylo Ren facing Vader and having that life force suction thing to a next level would be fantastic. The Toro.
It's literally Toro.
Toro
Valkan, like that guy. Wait, is it Toro Valkan?
I thought it was Calican.
Toro Calican. You're right. I was gonna say, are they both fees? Oh no, check out our Mandalorian reviews.
But that Toro just sounds absolutely awesome. Just to have a Sith teacher, that would have been so juicy for the Star Wars universe.
He sounds, honestly, Palpatine was hooked up to a machine, but he sounds similar to what they would have done with Palpatine, where he's like looking really dark and stuff. Obviously, they made him look like Palpatine, but so that happened. So here's the other thing that I want to talk about, which this is where I say there's some stuff in the script I don't like, but then there's some stuff in the script that I do love and really like. And this to me felt like an obvious one they set up in Last Jedi, and we had talked about it before as like a prediction or something we really wanted. Luke was Force Ghost haunting him throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had conversations. It was him trying to bring him back to the light side, and they had all these conversations of like, look at where it led you, and the dark side. At one point, he gets to like some tomb, Kylo Ren, and he's like, Luke says to him, the dark side leads to this, nothing but emptiness or stuff like that. So obviously, we had talked about that before, and you had Mark Hamill as well on the other side with Rey a lot. So it sounded like his version, which makes sense because Mark Hamill said this a lot, but it sounded like Colin's version had a lot of Trevorrow. So I know you're a fan of it, but are you? I imagine you're like me. You're still bummed out that there was no Luke Kylo stuff, right? Because they set that up, and that to me was especially. I don't get it. In this script, he turns good. In Rise of Skywalker, he turns good. So I don't get why you still wouldn't have Luke there trying. So, yeah.
Well, they built up there's such a huge relationship and dynamic between Luke and Kylo Ren, considering Luke is a huge reason Kylo Ren turned to the dark side.
Master and uncle.
And uncle, yeah. They missed on a huge opportunity of just that Skywalker like discussion and connection and scenes. And I think it would have been so awesome to have Luke literally haunting Kylo Ren.
100%.
Talking and having dialogue.
Trying to get him to the good side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I'm kind of skipping some stuff, but he finds his way to Mortis. And like I said, that's why I go watch the video. They get into all like the nitty gritty of like little details here and there. But he finds out this power. He goes back and he has some conversation with Hux. Hux and him power struggle as usual. And then so he's going to Mortis. And there's, like I said, there's some events kind of mixed up here and there. He's had conversations with Luke. But then apparently there was written a Han Solo flashback scene in this, and it was him going back. So he's walking up this mountain to Mortis, and he has like this vision, and it's like young Ben Solo in black robes, and apparently he goes home, and Han Solo has some conversation about coming back and everything like that, and he says he won't do it. He's gone, and he says that Leia sent him off, and he doesn't want him home, and Han just wanted him, or Han tells him that Leia sent him away to become more powerful and learn his powers, and he just says it's too late. So what do you feel, like obviously not Cam, but what would you felt of some flashback? Because to me, when you watch Force Awakens, did you always feel that the first time on that platform was the first time he had seen, Han Solo had seen his son since the turn?
No, because Han Solo looked like he wasn't surprised. It looked like when he was seeing Kylo Ren, walking, carrying Rey.
Like I heard that from the grapevine through Luke, though, right? Of like, because we don't know what's gonna happen in this Kylo Ren comic. We're gonna cover it, but clearly he becomes a Knights Ren. Maybe Luke hears about. So that's why you're right. But he could have easily still just heard about it, right?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like he probably was. He looks like someone who's probably accepted the fact that, okay, some bad things have happened, because he obviously didn't hold any kind of grudge towards Luke. He didn't have any hatred towards anyone. He was just, defeated and trying to cope with everything.
Too much Vader in him.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like a flashback, I could have accepted it,
I the only reason I like it because it kind of sets up what they did in Rise of Skywalker when he says to Rey, like, oh, you can't go back, like I can't go back to about Leia. But the thing is, I think that's the only reason it works. I don't know if we need another scene of him turning down Han Solo, but I think that's in there because of that. So he goes up to Mortis. At this point, we'll get into Rey's story because Rey, has a much different story. They have a big fight, and apparently they've still been kind of Force connected. She says to Finn, which I really like. She talked about Finn, which this is one thing I really wanted in Episode 9, was about how she still feels a connection to Kylo Ren, and she has like nightmares about him every night and everything like that. So they're very connected in this fight. It's kind of back and forth, and they keep doing like Force like life sucks out of each other and stuff like that. And then this is what has kind of not been conflicting, but I couldn't tell if it was because the Force exchanges she figures this out, or it's something she finds out in the middle script and happens later on. But apparently they made that Kylo Ren killed Rey's parents on the behest of Snoke. What do you think about that?
It just opens up questions like, okay, why did Snoke want Kylo Ren to do that? What was the reasoning behind it?
Apparently there's something to do with like it would have made her stronger or something like that. Like that's what I've heard.
It's it's weird because then obviously Snoke would have known about her, which I guess is implied in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So
What girl?
um
What do you think about the timeline of it, though? Because if her parents got killed when she's like 10, and Adam Driver is older than Daisy Ridley, but he's not that much older. So I don't know if the timeline really matches up. And I've been trying to headcanon if maybe he killed them later on. When
it would
they
have
were
to be
older.
later on.
That's what you would think, right? So I would imagine. I honestly, I was not when I read that, I was not a fan of that. That just feels like a twist for the sake of the twist. Like they have so much history already and so much baggage to be like, oh, and I also killed your parent. Especially because if this script ends with him turning to the light side, if he's full on bad guy and he's turned into like Vader in like at the end of Revenge of the Sith, or like he's on his way to episode like New Hope, like Kylo Ren, then I could see it. But I don't think that's needed in this script because, like you said, there's not a huge reason, and Kylo Ren and her already have a history, so you don't need to like, oh, and guess what I did to your parents.
I think there's probably more on that than we got, because it could be the same, oh, Vader killed your parents or killed your father kind of thing.
But this would be the finale, so there wouldn't be much time to like flesh that out, right? So it's not like we got that in episode 4 and then they fleshed it out, because apparently,
well, we got that in the finale of this anyway, and like Rise of Skywalker, they just said, oh yeah, she's a Palpatine, so they fleshed that out then anyways. So
oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In this script, they don't flesh it out anymore. Apparently, the only reason that they do it is because we'll get into Rey's story, but she's again struggling with the light and darkness. And I think it is later. I think I was right on the second time that she finds out earlier in the script that Kylo killed her parents, so that like pushes her dark side, and because he lied to her in Last Jedi, which again, I don't like that either, because I never read it that Kylo Ren was lying in Last Jedi, especially because to me it's supposed to be this really emotional moment. I get it because it's like people say, oh, Siths always try to lie, but to me that was in this moment where he was not fully Sith, he was still a little impartial. So I don't like, one, that he would have been lying, and two, I just don't think it's needed, because what does it do? Her parents are still nobody, they still have nothing to do. Like, it's just, I don't know. He turns good at the end too, so for me, I don't know what it would have done. I don't know how it would have helped. So they have a fight. It's apparently a good fight, blah blah blah. Which I saw that some people they were reading the person Robert was talking about the script, like, oh, this is a great scene. You don't know. It's like it can read great, but you never know. But so it's apparently some good lightsaber stuff, and apparently he's fighting her and he blinds her. He like gashes her forehead. She's blinded. She's down. He gets up to this thing in Morbius is on the brain.
Morbius.
What's up, Doc? Gets up to this thing to Morbius. There's this temple, like kind of, I don't know, something to open up, some sort of like treasure's going to be in there, like something Sith or Force oriented. He opens it up and it's empty, and he's mad at all these statues of classic Kylo Ren. He's like slashing them all down.
So you say he blinded, like he took Rey's eyes out?
Well, that's what it sounds like, but then she gets the vision back at the end of the movie. But at this point, she's blind, and because she later on, while he's up there, she like takes like a blindfold and her eyes are bleeding. They describe it as crying blood, and she like wraps it around her face, so it's kind of like Luke in New Hope when he's blinded and everything like that. So she goes up there. This was a scene I was talking about with bad dialogue. Kylo Ren and Luke have this like last conversation, and he's just like, "You're no Skywalker," and blah blah. And the dialogue's like, to me, it was really cheesy. It was just like, I'm stronger than Skywalker's ever have been. And apparently, I think this is it, because one person said it was in the script, and then one person just didn't mention it. But Kylo Ren like ignites his lightsaber and goes to take a shot at Luke, and Luke just catches it.
Ooh.
I don't like that. If you're a longtime viewer, you know how I feel about Force ghosts like having certain powers, and I don't like that. And then apparently, her and Kylo Ren fight. Kylo Ren again gets the better of her. And then he starts to like suck her life force, and he realizes, or he says in his dialogue, that whatever she has is more powerful than what Mortis possesses. At this moment, when he's like taking Rey away or doing this, Luke, either before or after, it's kind of like there's so many notes, but it's kind of in the middle that Luke is saying that we're all connected by the Force, we're not alone. So you have Leia talking to Rey, but then you also hear like Poe and Finn, who Finn's not Force sensitive in this script, just kind of feeling the Force and saying, "You can do it, Rey," blah blah. They fight. Kylo still kind of bests her, so I don't really understand what the point.
For a third time?
For a second time, he blinds her, and then this one he bests her, and then he starts sucking her life force. That's when Leia does kind of the same thing as far as saying like "come home," everything like that. Very similar to Rise of Skywalker, just more dialogue because she was live. the whole time Rey is saying like, Ben, like don't do this, blah blah blah. She's holding out her hand, and also in Rey's story, she's the whole time convinced that he can still turn good, which is like, do you think that's warranted? Because I felt like the end of Last Jedi was them closing the door off that. When she closed the door on them, I thought that was her giving up on him.
Well, I think it was. I never took it as her giving up on him. I took it as her cutting off this connection with him,
which didn't get cut off because they still have it. Yeah,
I still have it. This whole parallel though of Luke kind of like trying to keep the balance, and you have Rey fighting and Kylo Ren fighting on Mortis is just. I love that idea. I think it's a perfect reflection of the Mortis episodes in the Clone Wars. How you have the son and the daughter and the father balancing them out.
So what I want to say is, because when we did Clone Wars, I said they would never do this in the movies, and this is the way too. When I hear Mortis, I still don't know if it's something that could go in the movies because it's so wacky. In the script, and then from what I've heard, this is the way that actually I would be fine with Mortis being used, because I had to eat crow and be like, oh, someone was going to use Mortis, but they're not doing like the Force Dragons and the
Force Dragons.
No, like Mortis has like a lot more weirder stuff, and I thought if you got Mortis, you would get like the he and the she, or the son, the daughter, which I think, like you said, there's a good parallel of him being the father and like this back and forth. But I thought when people were talking about Morris is going to be involved, I didn't think they'd be bringing in this dagger and these dragons and like all this stuff. So I think this was, if this was a real thing that was going to happen, this was using Mortis right where it's inside baseball for the fans, but it's also just like a Force sense of sort of planet or something.
And that's why I think, if Luke grabbing the lightsaber would make sense, he could do that because it's so heavy on the Force.
Yeah,
like
true.
Kirkland's Force ghost power on Ashito.
That's true. So while he's taking this life force from Rey, apparently he's healing himself. Very similar to Skywalker gets healed, so the armor's like coming off, his scars get healed. And then so he hears Leia, he starts to turn good, and she says something about, I think she says something in the way of comparing, because remember I told you about how with Vader he says, oh, his weakness was love. It's some line or some variation of no, love makes you stronger, and he feels that, and he feels stronger. So then what he does, which is just all right, what he does is he takes all the life essence he took from Rey and then his own essence and puts it into Rey.
Oh, wow.
The same fucking exact shitty ending we got in Rise of Skywalker. But there's another chapter to this, but what do you think about... Well, I don't know what you think about that, because I think you're in the same camp. That's the same thing.
There's a lot of Force sucking going on in this movie.
So you're in the camp of me, like, they shouldn't have killed him off in 9, right? So I'm not going to say that because we already think that's a bad idea. What do you think about him? Because to me, so I'm trying to phrase it. He's the main villain of the story, and then at the end of the day, nothing really happens because I guess they defeat him. But with
you said Palpatine was in this, right?
No, he's just the holocron. That's it. He's just that one scene,
okay.
So it would have been a cameo. Yeah. So my whole thing is like, so he is the main villain, and then the movie just ends with him deciding to turn good, and then he just dies, and that's it. I feel like that's even more unsatisfying than when he turned good in 9 and dying, because he's the main villain, so there's not a big comeuppance. It's like the whole movie, it's like about stopping Kylo Ren, and then what happens is he like commits suicide pretty much, and it's like, all right, so that's where the episode, not like Rise of Skywalker, if we're going to get a good guy route, I prefer that. I just don't know why. If it was, I get it. George is always like, these stories are about redemption. They're about redemption, and you got to make sure the bad guy, it's life lessons, But like, I just hate that. How come every version of this fucking script ends with Ben, so like him turning good, in like such a weird way? So what do you think about, obviously we're talking about episode 9 stuff, but what do you think about this whole him dying, main villain, life essence sort of stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the life essence and all that, I think it's great. I love all this, what you said so far. I just think
similar to 9 in a way.
Similar to 9, yeah. I just think him dying is pointless, and in this context,
especially
it doesn't make sense.
With Rise of Skywalker, it's like, oh, well, we took down Palpatine, or this you could have been like, oh, we took down Toro or Snoke. This is just like, you didn't like, I just don't buy him in this script turning bad or turning good, because I still think in Rise of Skywalker they do it poorly. In the first half, he's so evil, and then he's good very quickly. I think how they do it is good, but the execution, like how the actual scenes are good, but the execution was far rushed. This feels even more so rushed. If he's the villain the entire movie, and then the last 5 minutes, he's like, all right, Rey, like... I'm
envisioning it would be very, like, climactic. Maybe they would build up a thing, like, Darth Vader kind of second guessing himself
It's
and turning.
exactly like that. Oh yeah, it'd be him hearing all these voices, but that's just Rise of Skywalker is already like Vader. This is almost exactly like Vader. And then so what happens is apparently he gets like all like disheveled and he looks really sickly and whatnot. He falls into her arms, so there is no kiss, which I still think they could have fucking added, and I could have liked this ending a bit better. So that's where it's tough for me, because I for sure would have still wanted him just to stay bad this whole series. But then I love the Reylo stuff. I love relationships that are this toxic, like will they, won't they, like they're enemies, and seeing them work together. So the kiss and that stuff really got me in episode 9, so it's hard to dispel that. But apparently he falls in her arms and they give each other like these loving looks, so that's implied.